known unknown, they're actually continuously researching into the fundamentals of science. And when that comes to applied level, the scientists, when they take, like, for example, if you see MIT Research Lab, Gorang from Riddle works with some MIT professor who helps actually guides Riddle. So when it goes to MIT Research Lab, they actually try to make a POC, proof of concept, that how the fundamentals, the researched outcomes of science can actually be applied for the better use of the world, for the community, and for the, whether it is for the environment or for education or for entertainment or for empowerment or for better kind of healthcare, better education. So how those technologies can be used? When the technologies get commercialized, people like you come up, like the startup entrepreneurs, the incubation centers, the acceleration centers. Then what you do, you incubate that technology idea either in a local or global context to make a product. And if that product creates value for the customer and community, then the customer and community are willing to reward you, and the value creation starts from there. Now, if you look at, we all took 8,000 years. How many? 8,000 years. We continued on agriculture, and still we are in agriculture, and agriculture also evolved with the development of science and technologies. All the industrial aspects you are seeing today in the world is not very old. It is 150 years old. All that you are seeing and all the technologies you are seeing, that it is kind of flooding the world, is actually not very old. I have been in the technology industry for last 35, 40 years of my life. And we all started, Mr. Professor Suresh will remember, from the desktops. If you remember, sir, 80XT, like हमारा वो छोटा मैंने बड़ा बड़ा डेस्कटॉप होता था, and with so less power. Now, if you look at a mobile phone, it is all in GB, and now it has been TP. So what happens is the technology has evolved. The science is continuously feeding into the evolution of technologies. So we all started when this kind of, it all started in the computer world. Those of you are the students of computer science, so you all will be knowing. I wish I could have shown my presentation with you. I'm feeling sorry for that. But let me see, I open it again. If you can see, what can you see on my screen now, Goran?
Blank screen. We
Can you
cannot
see?
the blank
No,
screen.
no,
No.
it is blank. Okay, so let it be blank. Let me speak. There is no other way we can do. We are sorry for that. So those of you who are actually the students of computer science, you all know when Charles Babbage talked about his invention, and that was actually an analytical kind of engine, and he tried to design to solve computational and logical problems. And then IBM started as a company, like you all are trying to be the startup owners, and PSG or Riddle like incubation acceleration centers are trying to help incubate you, accelerate you. Similarly, IBM entrepreneurs, the owner and the R&D team, they actually accepted those ideas and started making those computing machines. So IBM started the first kind of computing machine. Starting from there, as it progressed, you have seen kind of the electronic computer with 1500 vacuum tubes, Colossus, that helped the British crack the German codes during World War II. And then came UNIVAC, the first commercially marketed computer that used to tabulate the US census, occupied some 943 cubic feet. So it was like huge machines doing very small things. And the smartest one was by Steve Jobs, Apple II. So at a price of $1,298, the compact machine he developed was one of the first massively popular personal computers. So he started sometimes in 1978. If you look at Microsoft, Cisco, Apple, Wipro, Infosys, all these companies were actually between 1978 to 78 to 82, you'll find maximum number of companies, those who worked either in faster product, like the hardware side evolution or the software side evolution, they actually got incubated by the startup entrepreneurs like Bill Gates, all those guys actually. Oracle started during the same time frame, and IBM actually couldn't keep pace with these guys when the startup came, because IBM learning slowed down, and these guys learning was much faster, hunger was much faster. So from 1978 onwards, you see Microsoft touched $1 trillion market cap that time. But what Apple did is, because of innovation and application of technologies, creating disproportionate customer value by continuously learning, not only from the computing technologies, but also learning from the communication technologies, and making like iPhone, etc., and came with iPad, iPhone, embedded with all the entertainment, all that the consumer needs. So rather than becoming a pure play computer product company, they became actually a convergence of the need of the commerce, the need of the community, the need of the customer, and they created all that the customer needs in a bundled manner and created disproportionate value. Their market cap is something like $2.2 trillion now. So you understand India's GDP is some 2.6, $2.7 trillion. Actually, it is going down because of the COVID. And $2.3 trillion is the market cap of Apple. So when you learn, when you innovate, when you incubate, when you accelerate, this is what happens. You actually create very disproportionate value because of your continuous learning. There were companies, they actually didn't learn continuously. Motorola didn't learn continuously. Motorola used to be known, Professor Suresh will remember, as the most innovative company in the world in regards to technologies. They became pieces and got sold. GE didn't learn. GE has become the biggest failure of this century now as a company, but they were the biggest success of last century. And with Thomas Alva Edison's name, it was General Electrical, started from there, Edison company to General Electrical. So they're the most successful company of the last century, became the worst disaster of this century. Similar is General Motor and Ford Motor. They were a 100-year-old company, best success of the last century. If you remember, I remember in 2000, I used to look at the Fortune 500 companies, and consistently, continuously, General Motor and Ford Motor used to be at the top. Now, Tesla is 10 times of theirs in terms of valuation. Tesla is a bacha, 10-year-old company started by Elon Musk. Elon Musk is not even a graduate. So a certificate from any of the university degree is less important than actually continuous learning. So when Gaurang told me that, sir, can you speak on continuous learning? I said, I'll add with continuous learning how it creates actually disproportionate value for the community, customer, and the people. Otherwise, it is like just continuous learning may not be of great topic, but how continuous learning demonstrates in value creation may be of interest to you all. So I will give you certain instances from my direct experience. I worked at least two richest, two most successful legendaries of legends of our country. One started with computing technologies, Mr. Premji, and the second is communication technologies, 4G, Mr. Mukesh Ambani. What I found from both these people, directly I experienced, they read a lot, they think a lot, they learn a lot. So if you ask Premji, Mr. Premji, that what does he do? Just actually, we had done that in 2000. We used to map the time of Mr. Premji on his advice. How does he spend time? So how much time he spends on reading, how much time he spends in meetings, and in those meetings, how much time he spends with the customer, how much time with the colleagues, how much on the internal matters, how much on the external matters, how much on the shareholders kind of investor relation, etc. Those times, how much in terms of making presentation, etc. in the society used to get a lot of invitation, those presentations. So we actually mapped on 5, 6 categories that how much time Mr. Premji spent, 102 to 105 hours per week. So 102 to 105 hours, my friends, if you work 6 days a week, then also you have to work 17 hours per day. So Mr. Premji, outside his nature work and sleep, used to work, I remember, 105 hours per week in 2000. And I used to personally, with the help of his secretary, develop the pie chart where it used to show, and it was on Premji's request, where it used to show how much time he is spending on customer, how much on community, in social service, how much on investors, how much on colleagues, and how much on self-development. These 5 categories. And we found out Mr. Premji was disproportionately spending time in reading, which was very important. He said he will continue to do that. And second, he was spending time is internal matters, internal reviews. So he told he is now going to spend more time on the external investment on the customer and the community, and he wants to do the less of the internal reviews. So we should have a strong internal organization where they can manage the internal reviews, etc. So that's the time Mr. Vivek Paul joined, took over the Wipro Technologies CEO, and there are very strong CEOs in different companies of Wipro. And Mr. Premji used to spend time, you all have seen his life, and his life is the best example in the history of our planet in terms of what a man can do by working hardest and giving back everything that he has for the development of education and the society and the community. So that's actually I had a golden opportunity to work with him in my formative years. I was a young man, 32-year-old. So he used to work 100 to 105 hours per day, and he was, I think, 50 odd year old. And I used to compete with him and keep tracking my calendar. Am I able to work at least as much as Mr. Premji works? And one thing I learned from him is actually whatever you do, if you are not reading, if you are not thinking, and whatever you are reading and thinking and understanding, if you are not applying, then it is of no use. So if you all remember, Wipro had a slogan called applying thought. So applying thought means the thoughts will come to you based on your inputs. So inputs come from reading, listening, and observing. So if you are a sharp kind of with concentration, you are reading, you are observing, you are listening with attention, then your mind starts thinking, your heart with empathy starts feeling what good I can do to the society, to the community, to the colleagues and others by applying my this knowledge. Once that happens to you, then when you apply that for your own welfare, for the welfare of the corporation, for the welfare of the community, you start blossoming as an individual. So every individual I found, Mr. Premji used to pick them up like rough diamonds. And we used to call him, this is the diamond, Mr. Premji is in diamond polishing business. So actually, once Dr. Jagdish Shet told me, he was on our board. So he said, Vijay, Mr. Premji is in the diamond polishing business. So what he does, he picks up rough diamond. When he hired me, I was a 31-year-old. When I was 32, he made me the global HR head of Wipro. So he says he picks up the rough diamond and continuously polishes them and makes them 100,000 million times better. So that's what, my friends, I learned hands-on from Mr. Premji, how continuous learning, how continuous reading, how continuous thinking, how continuous applying, and how continuously feeling for the greater good of the community, customers, and colleagues create disproportionate value, and that I saw in Wipro. When I came to Reliance in 2005. So 2005, I was the first employee in Reliance Retail. So you must be seeing Reliance Retail has raised a lot of money on some valuation of 450 to 5 lakhs crores. I was the first employee of that, worked with Mr. Modi and Mr. Ambani, and we started a team, and then from there started Reliance Retail. In 15 years' time, my friend, this company employs today directly and indirectly 200 to 300,000 workers, employees. So 200, 300 families are benefited by Reliance Retail. Millions, hundreds of millions of customers of this country during COVID, when everything was stopped, to your home, Reliance JioMart supplied the food. Our workers, our boys on the feet on street, they delivered to you fruits, vegetables, rice, dal, and complete service so that the community benefited. So it just not created the commercial value, but it created a disproportionate community value. That was actually a disproportionate customer value. That was Mr. Mukesh Ambani's vision and inspiration. And he said, like, look, Bija, Reliance Retail is more to create a value in terms of profitability, then it will actually create a value to the community, because in retail business you don't make much profit. In retail business you create a disproportionate customer and community value. You create cost convenience for them. So it inspired me when I was leaving Wipro and Mr. Premji with a very heavy heart. So in my conversation, I still remember with Mr. Premji, he said, "Where are you going?" I said, "Mr. Premji, we are 100,000 people organization of software engineers, but I have an opportunity to work with a 10th pass, 10th fail in retail industry to start the retail industry and retail company in this country where a million people will be employed and a million families, those who are not educated, will be benefited. So you please give me the permission to go." He never gave the permission, but I anyway, with lot of respect, lot of request, I actually moved to Reliance Retail, and I was so fortunate. I got involved, associated with Mr. Mukesh Ambani and his inspiration and his vision. I just executed what Mr. Ambani and Mr. Modi were actually envisioning and strategizing. I was like a chota banner in the Banar Sena, but with a lot of devotion, with the same Wipro rhythm of 18 hours per day work. I continued to work. Today, we are the largest retail company in India and fastest growing retail company in the world. And we hold the promise with e-commerce, probably one day we'll be the largest employer of the world. So that is actually Reliance Retail. In 2010, 11, so when the 5G, 4G was getting like auction, so that time we had nothing on telecom. So Mr. Mukesh Ambani said, "Bijay, we have taken spectrum because the communication technologies, the telecom industry, they actually kind of will create the digital infrastructure for India, and that will be the future of India. So I want you to build a team like you built for Reliance Retail." So I actually, that time when we researched, we found that there are no 4G trained technologists in the world. So the 4G that time in 2010 was either happening in the research labs of the universities, or some of the companies actually had got the spectrum. In China, they had China Mobile had started, and Verizon and Vodafone and or T-Mobile and AT&T, they had got their spectrum. So everybody was starting. So there was no 4G ecosystem. There was no 4G, the complete, like today you see, it was not there. And Mr. Mukesh Ambani that time envisioned, we never knew COVID will come and all of will be disconnected, and physical movement will be impossible, and we all will be digitally connecting. So this is the way the visionary leaders like Mr. Mukesh Ambani, they could envisage for a nation, for a people of 130, 135 crores. The most important is to create actually digital communication infrastructure so that India's young entrepreneurs, like all of them are here, benefit, leverage. Today, nobody has contributed to the digital infrastructure in the history of India as much as Jio and Mr. Ambani. And because of him, we all are connected. We all are enjoying 4G data connectivity. So also other competition companies, they joined the race. They also invested money in 4G, but then they are nowhere in terms of comparison. But then Mr. Ambani showed the way. So And I remember those days, Mr. Mukesh Ambani used to tell us, like, look, 4G is new, none of us know. So let's put some academicians, some thought leaders, some international experts who actually are at least advanced in thinking and researching into these technologies, and let's get the vendors who are working ahead of the time to create the ecosystem. So we actually put the whole team together, and in 10 years, you see what has happened to us as a nation, as a community, as customers, as all of us are enjoying today. And we must thank Mr. Mukesh Ambani for that. We used to read those days what is 4G. I remember we used to go to YouTube video, Coursera, edX, MIT, Stanford, and find out 4G and try to train ourselves to get the vocabulary, to get the language, so that when I'm talking to somebody in China or Telstra in Australia or British Telecom in the UK or Vodafone in Europe or in Verizon in US, at least I know the vocabulary. So if I don't continuously went to technologies, came to retail, then became in telecom, then media, then financial services back again. So if I don't continuously learn, then I will be irrelevant for Reliance and Mr. Ambani. He will sack me, he'll remove me, he'll say, no, it's done. So you go and kind of spend time, retired time in your native place in Konark. So I have to sit in Konark beach or for a corporation or for a man with empathy for that continuous learning, the outcome of that value creation, the outcome of that disproportionate prosperity with the community at large, community as a customer, community, there are many privileged people, many less privileged people. So when we help them with education, healthcare, empowerment, so we become the great in our activities. So we become from ordinary to extraordinary. And that is what I saw in demonstration in both the gentlemen, Mr. Ambani and Mr. Premji. So I have been eternally blessed in my career. Most of my time I spent with these two gentlemen and learned, and that has been my wealth. That has been my capital. So that's what I want to tell you all. Yes. Gorang, I don't know how much time you had kept for the speech, how much time for question answer. So I wanted to tell you continuous learning creates a disproportionate value. So Gorang, how much time you had kept for the speech?
Sir, I think like if you can share like more if you can answer the questions of our members right now, like I think most of the topics, what most of the difficulties what we as an incubator face is like to create like strong revenue models for our own ecosystem, like to sustain ourselves, because most of the government grants what the incubators raise are for a specified duration, like 3 to 5 years. So most of the participants today are various science and technology parks and incubators. So most of them are managers and CEOs or directors of their own institutions. So I think if you can share more insights on how to build a team for doing for running the sustainable incubator, and what all activities or opportunities can the incubator apply for or do to address this issue.
Okay, thank you, Goran. You and I have been working on Riddle from the start. So we both have faced many challenges, and you have been the most successful in leading Riddle. That's actually, if anybody, any incubation center has any challenges, if they spend some time with Goran, so they will know how did we do, what did we do, and what made the Riddle so successful. If I have to share my observation of a Riddle being successful, one most important thing is when Gorang was very young that time. I think we started Gorang in 2014-15 or 13-14.
Yes, sir. We actually got the DST support in 2015-16, but we started early in 2010.
So 2010, I have been there with you from the day, almost like same month or next month I joined you. I was on your some parts of your university board. So when Samir, your founder, he introduced me to you, Mr. Samir Sumaya. He is your owner. So then we started discussing, and from then what I observed, starting is the step one. Starting is actually 50% of winning, but staying at it, striving for it, is the actual mul mantra, the basic principles for the success. So when we started a riddle, we started it, but we decided we'll stay at it and we'll strive for it. But because we had a very visionary founder of in Mr. Samir Shomaya, and he himself is from Cornell University, and we had Gaurang, who was committed. I have never seen a more committed person like Gaurang. And he was so committed. He was at that time we had nothing. I remember they gave us a small meeting room. Gaurang used to take me there, and in that meeting room, he used to put kind of tables in one side, and in one like row, he used to make 5, 7 of those or 10 of those engineers, and he used to, with a lot of pride, say, "See, sir, what is our incubation center?" So I used to come and tell Mr. Samir Sumaya, "Sir, ये आपको थोड़ा ज्यादा इन्वेस्ट करना पड़ेगा, ये थोड़ा इनको अच्छा स्पेस देना पड़ेगा, अच्छा काइंड ऑफ इकोसिस्टम क्रिएट करना पड़ेगा." तो समीर जी बोलते थे, "Yes, I will, but he has to first prove himself, and he has to give a budget and present it." And Gorang is a person, he had a small team. I remember when he started 2, 3 people and then he grew it, he never gave up. Even 10 times his proposal will get a kind of rejected. 11th time will come up and present to the board why he wants to do what he wants to do. So staying at it and striving continuously is actually the path to success. Many times we become over dependent on the external factors. That's bad. That's very bad. That's as bad as to the crime. What we should do in incubation and acceleration, we should be the least dependent on the external factors. We should always have a mindset of creating value and sharing value than capturing value from the government policies or government programs. If it is coming, let it come. If it is not coming, don't regret it. I remember he had no support. He had no support, and it's not that Somaya was giving him tons of money. He was most in a most constrained manner. He was continuously innovating. So initially, we all discussed and thought, is it possible if there are successful startups, we charge a very small kind of rental, or very small, 1,000 rupees or 500 rupees or something like that, I remember. So it will be like kind of self-sustaining initially. Then second, we thought, can we do kind of, if they're really creating disproportionate value, that the Riddle Incubation Center, since these guys, their currency is not profit, their currency is not money, their currency is capital creation, value enhancement, value creation. So can Riddle take a small seed capital and be supportive to them? We actually innovated in hundreds of ways. But then we realized if we become a burden on the startup, as against actually building it up, we are doing a crime, because our objective is to incubate and accelerate. And Mr. Samir Somaya, being a very noble man, very charitable person, he always wanted that people should be blossoming out of, and for him, the biggest need was respect and pride, that people from his incubation center, acceleration center, has been big not only in India and world. Most important, another most important thing I like in Gaurang, what he used to do those days, he was like Chatak Pakhi. Chatak will be a small bird. So it will be there on the field, always looking at the sky for the rainfall. And vultures. So vultures will be flying high in the sky, always looking at the curves. So Gaurang's nature was like a Chataka Pakhi. So he used to always look for the biggest thing in terms of science, technologies, innovation. So courageously, he used to reach out to MIT. He used to go and participate in Facebook programs in California without any resources. And just by the commitment and courage that impossible things can happen just by putting efforts, he used to invite, those are early days of incubation acceleration. He used to invite Facebook guys, MIT guys. I have never seen anybody, either in the government incubation centers, I have been part of many of them, ever doing it, or the private incubation centers other than Somaya, ever attempting it. So the other aspect, my friends, is look, even if you are small, don't think small, don't dream small. Dhirubhai said, if you could dream it, you could do it. You will actually experience that around you. When you dream big and work, strive towards that, you will be successful. Why I am so much praising Gaurang? I saw actually, he set the example for every incubation center. Government support, I remember, came much later. After he became successful, Riddle became successful, government started trickling down, and we are always thinking that if government things comes, it is like kind of, malai. It's like dessert. It's not the main course, main dish. So that's the way we build incubation center. If any of you are over dependent on government programs, my request will be government itself is, you see, look at their fiscal deficit, look at the current economic situation of the country, look at the challenges. We are going through centuries, not only centuries, multiple centuries biggest pandemic. अब गवर्नमेंट के ऊपर आप ज्यादा डिपेंड मत कीजिए. आप सोचिए कि आप क्या कर सकते हैं, आप कैसे इनोवेट कर सकते हैं. आपको इनोवेशन का आइडियाज का आवश्यकता है. You need that. People like Gaurang are there, they've first hand done it. I have not done it, I have seen him doing it. You can stay in touch with me. I give my time nowadays, some 14, 15 hours per week for social service. So I generally work 16, 17 hours per day. Now I'm working 14, 15 hours, and 2 hours per day I'm doing social service on Mosa. We are putting people back to work. So we have listed out to 10 lakhs, 12 lakhs migrants from the poorer areas of Odisha, Bihar, Bengal, Jharkhand, MP, Chhattisgarh. Those who are going back from Bombay, Bangalore, Chennai, Delhi, during those after 25th March, Honorable Prime Minister declared lockdown. So they're walking, bicycling. One boy from my state bicycled 1800 kilometers from Bombay, Bhiwandi, to his village in Kalahandi. So when that happened, that was on 27th March. So I called up my friends and professors in IIT Bhubaneswar and IIT Bombay. I told we should do something for these migrant workers. So we created a phygital platform. Now on that platform, we have 12 lakhs migrant workers, and we are every day placing migrant workers back to job. We are placing them in construction sector, like in L&T, NCC, etc. We are placing them back in the warehouses. We are placing them back, those who are from the technical side in the factories. And like Pune had a shortage of workers. We are sending people to Pune. We are sending people to Bangalore, Chennai, Delhi. Now Mosa has become the biggest source of skilled, unskilled, semi-skilled supplier of resources by removing the information asymmetry. Like these poor workers don't know where the jobs are. And the HR managers or the entrepreneurs, owners, they don't know where these in Bihar, Odisha villages, these poor workers live. So what we have a phygital system, we have 30 full-time volunteers. We have nearly 10 scientists and professors, and I actually mentor them. We have nearly 20 professionals from all over the world. We have people from Canada, US, Arab countries, London Business School director, HR is part of our team. So we have created a worldwide kind of ecosystem to place people back to work. And we are currently placing them within India. Once the COVID now, unfortunately, the second variant has come. So once that subsides, we'll send them to Gulf. From Gulf, lakhs of people, Indians, they came back. Our foreign exchange remittance used to be 75, $80 billion. Now it is in a zilch. And now those all people are back home. They are actually kind of really suffering. So we are trying to send them back to Gulf countries so that they send dollars to our country. Our economy gets supported. We are trying to send some people to North Europe, Japan, and Canada, those who are in the healthcare and nursing skills. So our team is doing tremendous work, and we just started at the need of community. We just came together, some scientists, professors, etc. And I am giving 14, 15 hours my personal time per week. My all Sundays are completely invested on that. Putting people back to work. Every day we put people back to work. So thank you for your question, Gaurang, for a short question, long answer.
Yeah, there is one more question by Mr. Vignesh from Startup Mission Kerala. So he's thanking you for your time and words, and he has a question like, what are the new opportunities in emerging GeoMart and startup specific Reliance initiatives?
Yeah, so Reliance has a acceleration center, you all know. Reliance also invests in the startups in the space of education, healthcare, consumer technologies, AI, machine learning. So we are actually the biggest startup promoter and investor today in the country. Mr. Ambani believes in let's grow together. If we all grow together, then India will be a much better place to live in. So when others were e-commerce companies are doing the things which will actually close down millions of kirana shops in the country because they are, every kirana employs something like 8 to 10 or 4 to 5 workers. So Mr. Ambani said that what we'll do is we'll strengthen these kiranas so that 12 million or kiranas are there. So we'll strengthen them. 1.2 crores kiranas are there. So we'll strengthen them by giving them merchandise, by giving them tech system, by giving them financial system, so that they serve their customers better. So in every kirana shop, if 5 to 10 people are employed, so total, say, if it is 1.2 into 10 is 12 crores people employment, we can support. So that is one initiative Mr. Ambani has initiated. I am very lucky and privileged to work in that initiative that is called Newcomers. That is one thing he's doing. But while doing it, so you need vendors to supply the products. The vendor could be the merchandise vendors, the vendor could be tech vendors, the vendor could be data analytics vendors, the vendor could be anything. The vendor could be a design vendor. So all this ecosystem is opening up. So what Mr. Ambani doing now is, like he told all of us, he wants to focus on the lowest strata of the society and the most kind of affected because of the COVID and the current situation. So he wants to support agriculture. He wants to support these kirana poor traders, and he wants to support the startup entrepreneurs, young engineers, those who are trying to do innovate and do something, who are serious. Gorang, like you are serious in developing an incubation center. In India क्या होता है ना, बहुत सारे लोग seriously कुछ नहीं करते हैं. वो उनको मतलब जैसे मॉर्निंग वॉक जैसे लगता है कि साइड पे कुछ कर ले, ऐसे चीज पे हमारा इंटरेस्ट नहीं है. जो लोग सीरियस है, तो रिलायंस ऑलवेज इज अ वेरी सीरियस कंपनी, वेरी इंटेंस कंपनी, वेरी वेल मीनिंग कंपनी, and it always supports well-meaning initiatives.
Thank you, sir, for that answer. We have another question from Mr. Chandrakant. He said that when you observed Mr. Premji reading for hours together, I was eager to know what category of books he read. Is the books he read associated with only business and philanthropy, or was it widespread spectrum of books?
So, Mr. Premji, as I have seen him, he was a voracious reader of journals, magazines, and the books. But when he was reading the books, he always was ahead of time. Whenever you see every year, you'll find the books list of many, people like Bill Gates, etc. They generally read the books which come more like futuristic and with a kind of societal impact. Always the books are written in a very well-meaning way, application of science and technologies for the betterment of society. So as I saw Mr. Premji reading, he was reading a lot, journals, magazines, newspapers, like all these, I got that habit of reading Harvard Business Review, Business Week, Economist, and Fortune, Forbes. He used to read almost like everything. Whenever you go to Mr. Premji, you will be reading. So, and he's like very meditative type, you'll be reading and thinking. And he's like sponge. If you, Gorang, also he meets you and he will not waste time, he'll listen to you. Gorang incubation में क्या कर रहे हो, वो आपसे ऑब्जर्व करेगा 3-4 आइडिया, जाके फिर वो डिक्टाफोन में डिक्टेट कर देंगे, उनका सेक्रेटरी सबको भेज देंगे कि मिस्टर प्रेमजी was traveling to Bombay, he met this gentleman, and while talking to him, he got these ideas. So Mr. Premji was like soaking ideas, observing ideas from all sides of the ecosystem. So he was reading, but I have seen him more reading journals, magazines, etc., and than the books.
Thank you, sir. Sir, there is one more subset to the question. Like, is width-wise or depth-wise learning preferred? Which kind of learning would be preferred?
Both. Width is like knowing, and when you have to go deep into a technology, you need the depth. So, for example, when we are starting 4G, now we're starting 5G. We are all reading 5G. We are all reading Industry 4.0 for last 5-7 years. I couldn't show you my presentations. We are tracking 16 technologies for last 5-7 years, like AI, machine learning, Internet of Things, advanced robotics, advanced material science, now quantum computing of late. I have bought a book of 5,000 pages on quantum computing and I'm reading. I'm not a science student, I'm not an engineer, but I'm reading. I'm watching everyday videos on quantum computing. So when you are going to do business in a technology, you have to go to the depth. When you just need information, reading.
Yes, sir. So there is one more question from Mr. Pramod Joshi. What are the top 3 qualities that Mr. Premji looked at identifying diamonds when they were up?
So he looked for intensity, intelligence, and integrity.
Thank you, sir, for that answer. I think there are no more questions from our side. Thank you, sir, for that wonderful presentation. If you have any other questions, people will address it to Bijay sir separately. So thank you for your time. Dr. Suresh,
And
closing
yeah,
remarks.
you can share my email ID, Gorang, with them. Those of who are interested to do something good to the society by helping the migrant workers. So in our physical platform, we will be putting 16 crores migrant workers. Say at least 1.6 crores migrant workers will be on our physical platform by Mosa Foundation. So those of you who can in any which way contribute to the ideas of how to put people back to work, that is the biggest need for the youth of this nation, skilling them and deploying them. I will welcome you, and whichever way I can personally support you, I will do that. So you can share my email ID, both personal and official. Thank you, Gaurang. Yeah, over to you,
So, Suresh, there is one more question from Ms. Lakshmi
Yes, sir.
Priya. Question is, what would be the criteria on which an investor like Reliance look into before investing or supporting an incubation system or some startup?
So the first one is the technologies. We are generally focusing on the technologies which is adjacent to the consumer communication and computing areas that is of interest to us. That is one. Second is the talent, the founders and the talent and skills they have in them and their team members. Third is the talent includes the seriousness and commitment of the people. So essentially, these two we are kind of looking at. And if you ask for the segments, generally segment is our focus has been in the consumer technologies. So leveraging technologies for consumer businesses. So most of our time we are actually investing in bringing in talent or startups in that space. So that will be most adjacent to our requirement.
Thank you, sir. So there's one more question from Mr. Vignesh. What will Reliance Group be in 2030? And what are the next future plans?
So that's actually Mr. Ambani can say better than me. I'm just a worker supporter. So as I see the way the investments and the vision Mr. Ambani is putting behind, you all will be proud of Reliance as one of the most respected and leading corporations of the world, leveraging technologies to benefit the largest number of people in the mankind, which was like for centuries now in a disadvantageous position because of lack of education, and more of poverty and unemployment. So you all will be proud of what he is doing, what Reliance will be doing.
Is there any other questions, Lauren, from the audience side?
Sir, you want to give any remarks, sir? I think there are no more.
Right. So if there is no more questions, now I request Dr. Balchandran, the Senior General Manager of BIT TBI and the Vice President of ISBA to deliver the vote of thanks. Over to you, Bala.
Yeah, thank you, Suresh, and good afternoon, everyone. And it was fabulous and very, very interesting, insightful session by Mr. Sahu. So thank you for joining us for the inaugural session of this leadership series planned by ISBA, and it was a splendid start. I'm intrigued by some of the pearls of wisdom, especially the continuous learning, creating disproportionate value, and also the convergence of the community, customers, and convenience. I think it's an interesting, fresh insight which we could get. Although you reiterated on several other known aspects, staying at it continuously, and also time mapping, where the leaders map their time and prioritize and continuously again learn to align with your priorities. I think good amount of take home in the tough times that we are facing now, and it will be helpful for all of us, Mr. Sahu. And so thank you on behalf of ISBA and also in my personal capacity for your valuable time, and thank you also for offering to stay connected with us. And we will reach out in the near future for our requirements. And so before I close, I also thank all the participants for joining in and also for the active interaction with the speaker. So one housekeeping announcement, please switch on your videos for a group photo before we move ahead. Thank you all.
Request Vijay sir to switch on the video.
Yeah, I switched on the video. Achha, I need to switch on. I had come to PSG, Mr. Professor Suresh, sometime in 2001-2 when I was Wipro Global HR Head. So we had,
along with Dr. Premji, sir, along with Mr. Azim Premji when he visited our campus.
You there to speak in one of your functions in PSG.
Okay, because I had a chance to listen to his speech when Mr. Azim Premji was visiting our campus. At that time, I joined the incubation center, and I'm among the team member to coordinate his visit.
Very good. Yeah.
Thank you. Just a minute. Thank you all. We have taken a photograph with our team members.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you all. And I request all the ISBA members to join the AGM today at 3:30 without fail.
Sure, Suresh. Thank you. See you then. Bye-bye.
Sure, sir.